Hi everyone, today we are going to be colouring in this fun little monster. I'm going to call him the Ice Monster, that's how I am going to colour him. I think these look like sort of icicles, so I thought it would be fun to colour it in that sort of way. So I'm going to start off by thinking about the colour for the icicles. Now we have been doing Halloween colouring colour scheme for this top area, but I think seeing as he's already a monster, we don't necessarily need to think about a colour scheme in the same sort of way. So I'm going to do the ice in a sort of bluey colour. I rather like these two blues. Then I think I'm going to get away with using these. This is the Cobalt Green actually and the light Cobalt Turquoise, but I think they could make nice ice colours. That's what I'm going to use. You may disagree, you may want a slightly more blue, less greeny blue, but I like the colours, so I'm just going to use them. So for the icicles, I'm going to start with a darker amount of this and then just reduce my pressure like that and do that on every icicle. Now these could of course be stalagmites. I think stalactites fall from the ceiling and stalagmites come up from the ground, I think, but someone will know. Clever lot out there. My son would probably know too. Well, I'd hope so, as he's studying geology. I don't know if that's actually a geology thing, I'm sure it is. I think he said he's only just started his course. He says he's doing something on minerals today, which he was looking forward to. So hopefully he can come home. He comes home and he tells me interesting things about what he's been studying, so that's good. But I learned something that I instantly forget, of course, as we do. But it's great fun. I love how he gets enthused and tells me. He hasn't done that with his other topics. He doesn't tell me about his maths because he doesn't get enthused by the maths as much. He's waiting to do further maths and he thinks he's going to learn much more interesting things in there, but I don't know. But he doesn't really, he knows I'm not so keen on learning about maths anyway. And then he does physics. He's been doing sort of acceleration and velocity. I don't think it's really that exciting for him at the minute, but he's looking forward to later things. Obviously, whatever we study, there's going to be bits we're more keen on than others. My other son was telling me about his chemistry and computing, but he doesn't tell me much about his computing either. Again, he's doing programming at the moment. He knows I'm not a big fan, although I have done programming. I did learn a bit of BASIC as a child, and I have done HTML code, JavaScript and things like that when I was making websites. But now my website doesn't need any code. I just use WordPress. It's much easier. So you see, I've gone into the tummy area where we've got more of these, and I'm just doing them in the same way. I want it to sort of match, like he's in his natural habitat sort of thing, that these are all part of him and his house or cave or wherever he's at. I haven't really thought too much yet about the background, but we'll have a think about that in time. It sort of depends on what other colours I do him really, but we'll see. He's going to take a fair bit of colouring, I think. It's quite big, but that's okay. I think he'll be fun. So anyway, so it's nice that I feel like having children at home, you know, you're always learning. I mean, I'm always learning when I'm colouring, new techniques and colours and colour combos and things like that. But learning about subjects that I wouldn't normally look at, I think is really good for me. So that's cool. And I try and do that too if I'm looking at the news or anything and something comes up that I don't know, like Cobalt Turquoise to finish off. So basically I'm going to go over the faded part of the last colour and then take it to the tip. So yes, if there are things that I haven't heard or don't know, I try and learn about them, particularly if there's conflict anywhere, which isn't very nice, obviously. I try and work out why, where did it originate from, what caused it. Unfortunately, usually it's really complex and you can't just say, oh, X did this and that started it, because there's usually all sorts of history behind it and, as I say, quite complex. But I just like to have an idea of what's going on, where things have stemmed from, and it means that then if anyone talks about it, you've got a bit of an idea. I try not to talk about things like that to people though. It's not very positive, is it? Though I don't talk about colouring very much either. Most people I know don't do it, so they don't really, not interested in talking about it, don't have any appreciation for it. I think a lot of people who don't colour think it's just getting your crayon out and filling in a space in a bright bold colour, and they don't understand about the techniques that you might want to use and things like that, and also the relaxation benefits of it. But it's a shame, but some people just can't be told, you know. Or I think some people even think that they can't do it because either they're not talented enough because they don't think they're artistic, which is what I used to think when I first started, and now I still don't think I'm artistic, but I'm just learning new techniques all the time and passing them on. It's not about needing to have an artistic talent, for want of a better word, but it's about learning the techniques you need. So you don't, it's not something that you have to be born with to be able to do, it's just practice. So and I've had lots of practice, so that's good. But anyway, no, I think people they also think it's childish and you shouldn't do it because it isn't for adults, which is again a shame. But you know, I don't argue with people. I just don't really talk about it very much. Okay, so we've done our ice. I think it actually looks rather nice colour. I like that. And now I'm thinking about our monster. His horns I'm going to do in these two blues. So I'm going to use the light Cobalt Turquoise first, and I'm going to do it for the bottom ones. I'm going to do it a little bit darker in those two places. I know I'm not zoomed in very well. It's hard for you to see. I can do that now because I'll be moving through the monster, so I can show you in a bit more detail. So I'm doing it a little bit darker here and here, and then lighter towards the middle of the horn, as it were, and then up on the edges and a bit lighter in the middle. It's quite a small space, it's quite difficult to get much shading in there, but I've tried. There we go. And using the Cobalt Green for the middle sections. Oh, my monitor's gone off. I'm just going to switch it back on. It'll make a noise, I think. The computer will come back to life. So, it's decided not to. Oh, there it is. I just need to check in case my boys message me, which they haven't done today. I've got busy days today, actually. And I'm going to do this bit here in darker down here, lighter towards the top of the head, like that. And the teeth or fangs I'm going to do in the same way as the icicles. So I'm just going to do a little bit of that. I'm just going to sharpen my pencil. So this is the back to the light Cobalt Turquoise, and I'm going to do these bits. These are the eyebrows and the bottoms of here and this bit. Okay, now I've got this sort of furry bit to do. I'm going to zoom out again because I'm going to forget which bits. There we go. And I'm going to grab a slightly darker colour. Now this is the Cobalt Turquoise, I think. Yes, this is the Cobalt Turquoise. I'm just trying to sharpen it. You'll see why I'm struggling in a minute. Oh. There he is. And what I'm going to do with the fur is I'm going to do a round and round motion to try to make it look fluffy. You can see this is quite a lot bluer than the other two colours, so it will look quite different, which I think is good. I'm trying to keep that round and round movement as much as I can to give that sort of impression of fur. You could go over it after with a pen or very sharp pencil and do little lines, because we've got little lines sticking out around the body, but we'll just keep going like this. I quite like this look to it, and obviously it's up to you how you decide to do it. Goodness, I need a cup of tea. Get one after this. I've been, what time is it? It's 1:45. Yeah, haven't had one since lunch. I had lunch at 12, unless I forgot to drink my lunchtime drink, which is always a possibility with me. Put it down, get carried away in some colouring. Sorry, with a small pencil it's quite hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm just using a medium pressure and going round and round. I'm not doing any shading of any sort on this bit. I'm probably not going to anyway. I think it looks pretty cool just being like this. There we go. Okay, now we've got arms and legs and body to do. I will zoom out a little bit more so we can see the arms and legs. And I think I'm just going to carry on with this sort of turquoisey feel to the whole thing. But I don't want the body too dark. So I've got this Helio Turquoise, but I'm going to do a really light layer. So I'm going to hold my pencil near the bottom on its side and just do a really, really light pressure so that we get just a very light layer. So we can see it's a darker colour, but actually the furry bit stands out more, which is just what I want. But I am going round and round, so this could look a little bit furry too. I'm quite happy with that. It's a little bit intricate going around these things, but because the colour is similar, if you go over the lines, it doesn't really matter. Unless someone's inspecting it at really close view with a magnifying glass, it's really not going to matter. There we go. For the arms, I'm going to press a bit harder, so the colour looks significantly different to this body. And I'm going to do it a little bit darker here at the top where it's near the body. I love that tiny little bit there, look like a little elbow. 3 fingers. My husband is learning about drawing hands, and interestingly, I'm sure it said in one of his books that sometimes artists do draw 3 fingers even when they're trying to make something look realistic, because it's really difficult to find enough space to put all the fingers in, and they might look at a picture that's realistic, sort of photorealistic picture, and find that actually the person's only got 3 fingers. So I haven't ever noticed that. I'm sure Mona Lisa has got all her fingers. I'm sure do we see her hands? I'm sure they're crossed over. Anyway, I haven't looked in that much detail. Now with this ice monster, I'm actually quite tempted to leave a white background to look like the ice. I don't want it to look like I've been lazy though and couldn't be bothered. So it's a little bit tricky. Let's do the spider while I think. I'm going to do him black. I've got my black, and I'm going to do him quite a solid black colour, and then he'll stand out from whatever we do behind. I'd quite like a lighter blue, but I've used my lightest blue apart from that one. That's not a greeny blue. I think it looked a little odd. I'm just going to use my Tombow Mono eraser to tidy up a little bit here. And here. And I am still thinking, I'm thinking about what colour. Oh, sorry, I just hit my brush on the tripod. Getting rid of those eraser pieces. I'm thinking about what's going to work. We could go really dark and then he would stand out. So that's an option. We could go with like a sort of Prussian blue, really dark colour. Or a bluish turquoise dark colour. Indigo or black. Don't really want to do a black. I think I'm going to go with this Prussian blue. And because polys aren't, they don't lay down really thick, so I need to do quite a few layers. So I'm pressing hard, which you need to be careful of, because if you press hard and make a mistake, you can't erase it because it stains and indents the paper. I'm going to do lots of layers because we need this foreground to really stand out. So if we don't make it dark and thick, it won't stand out. So it's just a matter of colouring in. Now, doing a background in a solid colour is actually much harder than it sounds, because you need to get it all sort of matching the same sort of amount of pressure across the whole picture and that sort of thing, and that isn't easy. I try and look carefully as I do it and go back over bits that I've missed, which you might see me doing as I colour. And you can also use a blender or a burnisher. Burnisher probably not the best idea. A blender might even the colour out a little bit for you. A burnisher will just push it down into the page, which is great. It darkens it, but if it isn't even, then it darkens it unevenly, because it doesn't. It just uses your the amount of, it can't perform miracles. It can't smooth it all out. So if you've done a dark bit here and then a light bit there like that, it can't make that as dark as that because it hasn't got enough pigment to work with. So you have to be quite careful in making sure that you've got an even-ish layer before you burnish down. And this is the same as blending. I saw someone recently saying they were struggling with a blending pencil. Now this may not have been their problem at all, but when you're blending you do need to have some layers. Say I wanted to blend a pink and a purple together. So I've got a petal and at one end it's pink and one end it's purple, and I want the colours to blend in the middle. It's no good me going pink, purple, blend, because some brands of pencil won't move off the page very much at all, so that wouldn't work. So you have to go purple, fade, pink, fade into purple, and then blend, and it will work. But so you've got to have some of each colour, and it's got to overlap, and you've got to do quite a lot of the work with your pencils first and just use the blending at the end just to tidy it up, rather than expecting it to just be able to perform miracles, as it were, and make it look all perfect. And a lot of people don't even use blending pencils, they just blend with a light pencil of the colour they're using. There are good reasons for this. Firstly, some blending pencils leave a colour behind, particularly the Derwent leaves a slightly yellowy tinge to what you blend. Now if you're blending orange or red, that's absolutely fine, but if you're blending blue, it's going to make it look slightly greeny, so it affects that. I find Derwent blenders, to be honest, very, very good, particularly for Derwent pencils. No surprise there. But you do need to be aware that it can change the colour. So, you know, do a bit on some rough paper, blend, run your blender over it and see what you think. The Prismacolor blender I find works well with most pencils I've tried it on. The Caran d'Ache is my favourite. I don't know why, it just seems to work better than the rest. So I guess, you know, you pay for that, don't you? Caran d'Ache is expensive, so you'd expect it to be really good. So sorry, I hope this isn't too unexciting. Okay, keep watching and find out what I do at the end. I'm going to add a few touches to the background because I think it's a bit boring. So you'll see that if you keep watching. But I've got to finish it first. I could stop the video and finish it. I'm just going to sharpen. But I will persevere. My pencil sharpener decided to drop in my lap. I shall keep going. I've talked to you about all sorts today. Goodness. But I hope everyone watching is feeling well. You know, it's the time of year where people get colds and flus. Hope you're all okay. There's a nasty one going around at the moment, so I understand. So I hope everyone's gonna, if they're gonna get it, that they get it mildly and they get it early so they can all recover before the holiday season, as you folks in America call it. I think, as far as I'm aware, you start with Halloween and then you move on to Thanksgiving and Christmas, I think. So you have Thanksgiving in November, is that right? Whereas I like the idea of Thanksgiving. You know, being grateful, showing gratitude, that's a lovely idea. But we don't do that here in the UK. But we don't do Halloween too much either. So we have to wait for Christmas. And I know in some countries, obviously, you don't celebrate Christmas, or you celebrate other festivals as well, all near time, which is lovely. But I'm afraid I don't know a lot about other festivals. It's not something I was taught. But I always think it's nice having something to celebrate in the winter, something to look forward to. Unfortunately, Christmas in the UK falls quite near the beginning of winter, because you have autumn in sort of September, well, late September, October, November. Winter doesn't really start until December, I don't think, or in my head it doesn't. And then you have mid-December Christmas, sort of mid-late December Christmas, and you have New Year. But then you have, it doesn't start getting warm until March, so you've got another couple of months after, where people who dislike the cold, I don't mind the cold, don't feel very happy for a few months. I'm leaving the nails white. That's on purpose. I decided I think they look pretty cool being white. They stand out quite well. So we're nearly there. I think on the other monster I might do the background first, so that if it's a plain one, so that you don't have to watch me colour it, because I think it goes on and on a bit, doesn't it? We're so close now. I'm going to get it finished. Now, I know a lot of people do round and round directional colouring so that you can't see the lines, but I think if you do enough colour, it hides them anyway quite well. So I'm not too worried. And also we're trying to move around all these bits and bobs on the page, which makes it tricky. I'm going to use a burnisher because we talked about it, and it will show you how to use it and how it works. This is my burnisher. It's a Derwent. It's the only burnisher brand that I know of, but I'm sure there are probably others. And you just go over it, look, and it presses the pencil into the page and gets rid of the white paper. I don't know how well you can see that from far away. It is quite impressive. So you need to have quite a thick layer of pencil And once you've burnished, I gather, because I've never tried, you can't colour then over the top. As I say, I've never tried because I've always made sure that I've done it as my final layer because of being told that. And what it actually does is it pushes the colour down into the tooth of the paper, so it makes it more, the paper flatter, and the colour shows up more. And because it's flattening that tooth, there's nothing to take any more colour. So if you try and put some colour on top, there's no paper there to sort of absorb it. You're just trying to add a colour on top of pencil, which doesn't seem to work. But apparently, if you use a layer of fixative spray, workable fixative, it adds a layer back on top and you can work that. But I've not tried that. So if you ever burnish and you need to colour on top, then that's something to think about. Do try it on scrap paper, see if it works first. So you could end up with a mess if you're not careful. And you need to use workable fixative because otherwise it will just act like a varnish, and again you won't be able to work it. I hope you can see that that's just making it look more even and darker, which is what I was hoping for. We're nearly done. And then we're going to use a white pen to make some dots and things in the background just to finish it off. I thought it might be fun. Looking in the camera, I can't actually see. So many layers are on this page now, I can't see the light shining off it. Now you could burnish, some people burnish everything they do when they finished because they like that look. But I tend to do it quite rarely. Okay, it could be better, but I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to grab my white, I'm going to use my jelly roll, number 8, and just do a few bits and bobs. So I'm just going to do some sort of circles and magical dots. This is the sort of thing that I've seen Johanna do, so I'm just copying her really. I don't know what else I could do here, but hopefully it'll just give it a interesting look to the background. Now I find the white pen works very well on top of polychromos as long as you've got a dark colour and a thick layer. If I tried to put it on here you wouldn't see it. There's too much white paper showing through. You might not want to do dots at the bottom, but I'm just going to do it all the way through. And I'm making them really uneven, not symmetrical. You could make it symmetrical if you'd rather. I'll do some behind the cobweb as well. I'm just doing a few random dots now, here and there. There we go. There's our ice monster. I think he is done. Thank you for all of you that stuck with me. That was quite a mammoth video and task, but I'm really pleased with the result. I think he looks really fun. It doesn't exactly look scary Halloweeny, but I think that wasn't really the idea. He needs to look icy and cold, and I think he does do that. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and happy colouring.